I got a story.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
My dad was his first wife. She died, but when he was dating her when he was a teenager, and she lived on Hurricane Creek. Dad lived on Indian Creek. And the story I heard was he'd tie his shoes around his neck, and he would walk down there to see her, but when he got inside the house, he'd put his shoes on, walk on down to the house. Anyway, he married Lily Pelham, and they had 3 children, and then she died, and he married Mom.
Wow. So, as a kid, when you weren't doing your chores, what did you do for fun?
We played with sticks and rocks.
Sticks and rocks.
Yeah, we didn't have very many toys. Which now, the time I was, Dad was taking me hunting time I was 6 or 7 years old.
Same here.
And we were going out and squirrel hunting, deer hunting. Took it a little more serious than we do now. Now it's just, you see something, find it, you don't find it. Back then, you were hunting.
Yeah.
And took it a little more serious. You went deer hunting, you was there before daylight, and you didn't come back till after dark. And wasn't very many deer then, but now it's several. My great-grandfather was right there. Okay. The sheriff killed him, shot him. They never found his steel. The revenuers never could find his steel.
He was out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And never could find him. But the sheriff was his first cousin. So it's he shot him, and he didn't take him on jail. He took him back to his house, which was his kinfolk, the sheriff's kinfolk. And he had to shoot him. He would have. The story goes, he brought him back to his log house, and all of his kids and his wife was inside the house. He came to the door. One of the kids stuck a double-barrel shotgun through the crack of the house. Cocked it. When he walked through the door, she was going to shoot him. She pulled the triggers. The mom stuck her finger down, the hammer's hit on her finger. The only thing kept her from killing the sheriff.
Wow.
And that's true. That really happened.
Yeah. It was rough. It was a serious life back then.
That's how they had to make a living.
Right. Yeah. When your back's up against the wall.
Yeah. Which, my dad grew up during the Depression and down there. And I asked him, so Dad, how did that affect y'all? So, we didn't know anything was going on. We were broke before it came. We were broke here, broke after it over with. Nothing changed.
Right.
If we didn't raise it or kill it, we didn't eat it.
Right.
And I never heard him complain. Always was a good life. They never went hungry. But a lot of folk did. Daddy used to talk about how blessed his family was because they always had plenty of food because they raised. And my grandpa would go off and work during the Depression. He helped build that Fort Douglas Bridge. 31 and 30, year 1931, somewhere in there. He helped build that. We walked from Indian Creek down there every morning. And back then, a day's work was from daylight to dark.
Yeah.
And, my dad helped build 7 up here, and he would walk from Indian Creek. And I looked at we got some old ledgers back here. People used to have credit at some store. And some people bought some gas here on credit then, 50 cents or 60 cents for 5 gallons. Credit. But put that in perspective, my father worked on this road out here laying concrete head walls for the culverts for 50 cents a day. So you couldn't buy 5 gallons of gas for a day's labor. My grandma was on the Trail of Tears, and my aunt, or great aunt, had been on the Trail of Tears. Now, my family wasn't very well liked. They were the tax collectors in the 13 colonies. Now, my wife's family, she's part of the Mayflower Compact.
Wow.
So, her 8th great grandmother was Constance Snow. She helped prepare the first Thanksgiving dinner. Wow.
Today we are back with Mr. Freeman and Mrs. Freeman at the Sand Gap General Store in Pellsor, Arkansas. And today, Mr. Freeman and Mrs. Freeman have a story that they would like to tell together. So we're going to sit back and we're going to listen. So, Mr. and Mrs. Freeman, please go ahead.
My dad and my uncle was homesteaded down here on the Indian Creek. And I remember the story the first time they ever saw a car. There was no T model. And my uncle, when he told the story, just cracked everybody up. He was saying as come down the creek there, they had never seen a car. And they thought it was a wild hog, and they was going to go catch it. Willie would tell the story. He said, Edgar, look, my dad's name was Edgar. And my uncle Willie, he said, let's go catch that hog, there's a wild hog coming. And anyway, they got down, there's a car, there's an old T model chugging down through there. And that guy got out there as one of Daddy's friends. He jumped out of the car and told my daddy, Edgar, said, we can get all the women now, we got us transportation. We don't have to walk, we can get all the women now. So that was the first car that my uncle had ever seen. And he'd tell that story, he was a big storyteller. He passed away a couple of weeks back. But anyway, he'd tell that story, just laugh, go on, and everything. Now she's got a story too about an old T model car. Now this is from her grandparents' wedding day.
Yeah, my grandmother was born right up here, just a mile up the road in that house with the
Old German style
roof, that wood house. So my grandparents got married in, I think it was 1920. And on the way, they got married Christmas Eve. And on the way to the wedding,
The creeks was
up, and my grandpa, when they got the car in the creek, he said it died, so he had to strip off naked, climb into the water to re-crank the car to get it going so they could get back out. And said my grandma got worried, so her and the preacher met them coming, and they got married on the side of the road over there at Lutherville instead of getting married at the church where they.
He had to strip off and crank them old T models. If they, that one that brought down the Indian Creek and this one here too, if they wouldn't pull a hill, you could crank that motor, have a hand crank. If you crank that motor, you could crank them up a hill. So that's what he had to do to that one.
Yeah.
That one come in and had to crank it out of the Indian Creek too steep. But this one here, he had to crank it out of the creek.
To get it out of the creek.
Yeah, it didn't have enough power and ground it out. So.
They used to show movies.
Oh yeah, that's my uncle too. Here in this side room here at the store, they used to show movies weekly, movies, and they show westerns. You know, it's all black and white, and it's probably, I'm sure, didn't have no speaking in it. Just you had to read it, and I don't know if any of them could read, but anyway, they show movies here in this side room. And Willie came up here and watched the movie, and it's a cowboy climb up on a rock. He would tell this story. And if the bad guy would come along, or the good guy would come along, or whatever, and he'd shoot him off that rock, and we came back the next week, same movie. He said, I know that guy learned better now. He shot him off last week. He won't do that same thing this week. But he did. So he watched it 2 or 3 times and did the same thing every time. Well, one time me and Scott Hankins, like I say, I live just down the road here. I live back at the place now where I was raised. And we just started riding bicycles. So we had to be first, second grade, about the age of my grandbaby here. Anyway, we had a branch back behind the house back there, all back in the woods. That's where the cows went and got water. And we rode our bicycles, baby, and Scott rode our bicycles back there. And Daddy always told me, he said, now son, don't be going back there now, maybe bear or mountain lion. A lot of people don't think the mountain lion who they are. And so we went back there, rode our bicycles, playing in the water. And Daddy came back there and told us to go back to the house. And anyway, we went for a little while, then we went back over and we were playing in the water again. This is a long ways back there. And we got back there, and Scott, we heard something. We thought it was Daddy hollering, so we hollered back at it a time or two. And this has been in the early 70s. And anyway, we got been there a while and decided to leave. Scott seen something and he didn't. I didn't see anything. So I wasn't very scared. Parked the bicycle up on top of the bank there above the hole of water, and Scott was all nervous. And he ran up there and jumped on his bicycle and took off. And I was there behind him, and I started to get off and push mine. So I turned around and looked back behind me. This thing was black, and it was a panther, I guess. It was black. His tail was longer than his body, standing right there where we had our bicycles parked. And I passed him on the way home. I didn't have to push that bicycle. I had plenty of. We've seen another one since then. Since we moved that picture about 9 years ago, something like that. We lived out in Dover for 30 years, I guess, or something. Anyway, we were in our van. We had built a big porch on the back of the house, and got French doors to come out of our bedroom out onto the back porch. I had squirrel dogs. Yeah. One night about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, the dog was trying to tear in that door, just run through some yard. And, I got there, get out of here, let them out. They come right back trying to they didn't come in the house, but they wanted in the house real bad. So I grabbed a flashlight and ran out on the porch. There was a black cat out there trying to catch them.
Yeah, wow.
His tail was probably 4 feet long. He was a big cat. Well, he wasn't much over knee high, but his tail was super long. He was trying to catch those squirrels.
Well, I started working at the Dover School District about 23, 24 years ago. And one of the ladies I worked with was big on genealogy. And so I got excited and started tracing Wendell's family. And when we got up here tracing part of his family tree, I ended up finding my family. And my family is more from Newton County than what I ever thought. I thought it was more from Johnson County. And we traced it back to where my 8th great-grandma was one of the first women who survived off of the Mayflower to do the first Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow. Wow.
Snow.
Yeah. Constance Hopkins Snow. Yeah. So.
Well, my friend, he got this catfish that was like this big. He got a candy bar. And then whenever I got my catfish, it was like this big. I got a.
How big was that? That's a big catfish. That's a big catfish. Do you remember how much he weighed? No. But anyway, go ahead.
But what I won was a tackle box.
Was it full of tackle?
No.
Oh, they gave you an empty tackle box?
I did not know. I don't know.
Show me how big it was.
How big was it? That's a pretty big fish. That's a That's a kind of great interview here at the Sand Gap General Store in Pellsor, Arkansas. And you've seen all the video that I've taken of inside the store and some of the people that I've talked to. And it is like this every day at the Sand Gap General Store. So I don't care if you're 30 miles from this place. Take the road that gets you to the store. You're going to find great people, great stories, great food, and something to drink, and a lot of nostalgia and a lot of history here. So please, visit Sand Gap General Store. All right, whiskey out.